You just got married. Congratulations, you are starting your new life together. You need an estate plan, and this is probably the last thing you want to hear, but that's my job, is to tell you, why do you as a newlywed need an estate plan? And this is no matter your age. You could be in your 20s or you could be in your 80s. Lots of reasons you need an estate plan. For one thing, so that you and your new spouse are on the same page for what you want to have happen with your assets. There's a lot of questions to answer if you're a newlywed. Did you combine your assets? Perhaps if you are, in your early 20s or 30s, maybe there's not a whole lot of assets to combine. So everything that you and your new spouse will earn, if you live in Washington, will be called community property. Maybe you are later in life and you and your spouse, new spouse, decided that, you know what, you want to spend your golden years together, and you've combined not just children, but grandchildren. I hope that prior to marriage, you have a prenuptial agreement so that you are clear about what you're doing with your assets, which typically are, people keep them separate to a certain extent because they recognize they didn't get married to get the other person's assets. That may or may not be true. In any event, the reason that you need to have a will or a revocable living trust or something that says what happens upon your death is that there are laws in our state that say if you didn't mention you were married, then the law is going to assume you forgot you were married, that you didn't realize it, and they're going to provide for your new spouse. And that might not be what you wanted at all. So it's really important that when you get married, that you do a new estate plan and that you're very clear and specific about what you want to provide for your spouse. Even in Washington, community property, you have a right to direct where your community property goes. It does not have to go to your spouse. Now, I have seen situations where when people have said, oh, I want all my community, it's like later in life marriage, I want all my community property to go to my kids. Well, one of the pieces of community property was the home, and now that one spouse has died, the surviving spouse who was happily living in the home now has to sell it because she can't afford to stay in it because she's got to buy out her stepkid's interest. So there's a lot of things that come up with a new marriage, a new situation that really need to be thought through. And really that's the role of the estate planning and elder law attorney, to go over, well, what will happen if this happens? Would you want your spouse to continue to live in the home, even if you want it to go down to your children afterwards? So those are just some of the reasons that a newlywed couple, no matter what their age, needs to have a new estate plan, a new will, new revocable living trust, or whatever is best for them and their situation. One of the things that I want to mention is if we are talking about a younger couple, folks that have minor children or they're toddlers, we absolutely want them to have a will, because protecting your kids, and we all want to protect our kids, is one of the number one goals of a will that a younger couple will have. What am I talking about? I'm talking about, a will takes effect upon death. Now, if just one of the spouses, one of the parents dies, well, they have the surviving spouse to be, who's the guardian, who's the parent of the minor children. But what in the terrible event that both of the kids' parents are killed? Then what? Who is going to be the guardian of the children to raise those minor children? Well, if you have a will in which you said, we want, this person to be the guardian of the kids, the court's going to say, look, they had the forethought, they said that that's who they want to be the guardian. And the court likely will appoint that person unless there's some good reason not to. But if your will is, or you don't have a will and nobody has said who is going to be the guardian, you can guardian, you can just imagine the fighting that could go on in court over who gets the kids, who should raise the kids, who's better to do so. You know, as their parent, you know best, really. You know who should be raising those kids. So do take the time, put it in your will, have a will that says, you know, even if this is your newlywed and you just have, you know, your new baby, congratulations. You need a will to make sure that that baby's protected.